As you all know, Chantelle Cameron is going to Las Vegas. She's going there to appear on an undercard. Chantelle Cameron on an undercard. Hold on. Chantelle Cameron on an undercard. It's a bit like Elvis Presley as a warm up act for a karaoke night in the pub. I was shocked when I saw this. Genuinely shocked. I don't associate Chantelle Cameron and undercard. The two don't go together. And this fight, it's a fairly Mickey Mouse fight. It's not a big fight. The card. It's a nondescript card. So it's a non-event. And Chantelle on a non-event undercard. But not only that, it's in Las Vegas. And I've seen these headlines about this fight. And I've seen these headlines that say this could be Chantelle's breakthrough, in America. This is rubbish. This is nonsense. There's nothing to break through in America. Women's boxing is on its knees in America. Women's boxing is doing disastrously bad in America. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Think of the three best known women fighters in America. Clarissa Shields, maybe McCaskill at this point in time, and Michaela Mayer. Nobody's watching Clarissa Shields. Nobody wants to. Her boxing is not attractive. There's no skill, there's no imagination, there's nothing. It's boring. Every one of her fights is the same boring. I've never paid a penny, and I never would, for Clarissa Shields. Now, the networks dropped her because eventually the penny dropped that she wasn't bringing in customers and that customers were switching off. Clarissa is a great self-publicist, and she's good in front of the camera. And all this stuff in the ring, what's my name, all the jive talk. She's good at that. She's good at self-promotion. But the bottom line is she has her pay-per-view and maybe 8,000, maybe 9,000. Let's say it's 9,000. And many of those people were actually in America. My guess would be that half of those, maybe less than half. It's quite possible that actual Americans watching this were maybe 4,000 or 5,000. I mean, this is mind-boggling. As you can see, I'm old, and I live in a complex for older people. And if I was to organise a fight with my next door neighbour, now I'm not good at streaming stuff, and I'm not very professional online, as you can see. But if I was to organise a brawl with one of my neighbours, I could stream that, I could sell that, and I'd sell more than Clarissa Shields. And I'm deadly serious about that. I could start a brawl with one of my neighbours out there, film it, and I'd get more views than Clarissa. I don't think people realise just how bad it is. That pay-per-view for Clarissa. I mean, it's not bad, it's not awful, it's even beyond catastrophic. Nobody's watching the woman. The networks don't want her. She's not entertaining, bottom line. Then we come to Jessica McCaskill. According to Rick Ramos and a lot of other people, she's the big woman now. Nobody wants to fight McCaskill. Nobody. They want her belts, but nobody wants to fight her. And nobody watches Jessica McCaskill. Nobody. Now, Jessica McCaskill, She's appeared on TV with Katie Taylor, and she's appeared on some of the bigger streaming services. But, if you were to put me on a streaming service, some people would watch. If you put me on television, people would watch. Flicking the channels, they'd come across, they'd say, who's that old guy? He looks stupid, I'll listen to him for a while. But if Jessica McCaskill went out tomorrow, and they tried to hire a hall and fill a medium-sized hall, Jessica McCaskill couldn't do it. Jessica McCaskill would find it very hard to fill a medium-sized sports hall in her own hometown. She has no fans. She's not attracting people to boxing. People see Jessica McCaskill on TV and it's just off-putting. There's no skill, there's no subtlety, there's no beauty, there's no cleverness, there's no particular drama. You want stuff like that, well, watch Terry Harper and people like that. So, and then you've got, her and her man, Rick Ramos. I mean, Ramos, he spends all his time talking about how much money Jessica is making, the great deals he's doing, and how he's sort of outmaneuvering Eddie Hearn and getting these super deals. This is all crap. This is all fantasy. And the two of them, Jessica and Rick Ramos, they present themselves as sort of working on the floor, as bankers. They almost paint themselves as working on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. This is fantasy. Jessica McCaskill is a hustler, and more power to him. And Rick Ramos is a hustler, and he's doing well. He's doing better than me financially, so. But when it comes to serious boxing and all this, and when it comes to the big time, he's not big time. And nobody wants to watch this girl. I mean, I've never paid money to watch Clarissa Shields. I'd never pay a penny to watch McCaskill. Now, if she's fighting Taylor, I paid, but that's for Taylor. So that's that. This is American boxing. Then you've got Michaela Mayer. Beautiful looking woman. Very articulate, very intelligent, very amusing in a sophisticated sort of way. This is a woman who you think, well, this is a woman easy to make this woman a star. She's got it all. Unfortunately, when she gets into the ring, she doesn't look beautiful. Outside the ring, she's a really attractive woman, and she knows how to present herself, and as I say, articulate, all of that. She can draw people to her. Once she steps into the ring, she looks physically ugly. Her stance, or the manner in which she stands in the ring, she looks turgid, awkward. She actually looks like constipated. She moves like an old woman. She moves the way I sometimes find myself moving around. A bit stiffer, a bit bent. She doesn't look good in it. I mean, it's actually noticeable. She's a very attractive woman. And then she steps into the ring and she just doesn't look attractive. Now, she's a decent fighter. She's got a decent skill level, etc., etc. But her fights are not exciting. Her fights are they're a bit bland. They're a bit ordinary. The quality of her fighting is reasonably decent, but it's not exciting. It's not sort of, it's not like good quality British fighting, where Chantelle and people like this, or Rachel Ball, or, where you get excitement. You get excitement, it's edge of the seat. You can't wait for the next round. It's not like that with Michaela Mayer. They're slightly boring, a bit conventional, a little bit lifeless, a bit sort of formulistic. But this is American boxing, and nobody's watching it. Nobody's watching Michaela Mayer. Nobody's watching Jessica McCaskill or Clarissa Shields. women's boxing in America is on its knees. It's not building fans, it's losing fans. It's really, really bad. The figures are atrociously bad. It's not catching on. And the reason is, well, in large part, a lot of it has to do with the boxers. They're not that good. Now, of course, there are exceptions. There was the Estrada fight, super bad or whatever, a few months ago. That was very exciting, excellent, great entertainment, gripping. But these are the exception. And this Chantelle Cameron fight, she's fighting Melissa, and she's going to win, and Melissa's not going to be great. She's in the latter part of her career, and she's not going to look good against Cameron. But so here you have Chantelle Cameron on a fairly Mickey Mouse card, and she's on the undercard, and she's going to America. You don't go to America if you're a female boxer. If you want to up your game, you don't go to America. You go to Manchester, you go to Liverpool, you go to London. Now, if you're an American girl, if you're a young woman in America, and you get invited to fight in Manchester, well, that's a move up. You can go back to America and then boast to your friends that you fought in England, which is boiling at the moment. Women's boxing in England, it's just wonderful. It's exceptionally good. And it's just getting better. So, if you're a woman in Las Vegas and you go to the UK to fight on the UK card, that's a step up. That's maybe a breakthrough. But for a British fighter, and particularly a really good one like Cameron, to go to America, Las Vegas, there's nothing to break through. So, now of course it's a mandatory, and I don't know the politics behind this mandatory, but it doesn't sound good. It doesn't look good. And one final point, I am coming to the conclusion that the reason Eddie Hearn signed Chantelle Cameron, well, number one was he knew he could make money. He knows his boxing. He knew this is a really good boxer, number one. Number two, she has a good, solid fan base. And it's growing. So he knew he was going to make money. But I think he had a second reason. I think his second reason was to protect Katie Taylor. If he signed Cameron, then he could divert Cameron from Taylor. If Cameron had stayed with McGuigan's, if she'd never gone to MTK, there's a good chance she would have fought Katie Taylor by now. She would have got there by her own route. So I think, Katie Taylor is, and at the moment Terry Harper is flying. Terry Harper is being promoted by everyone as a big star, and she's doing well. So I think he knows how good Cameron is, and he's got his Katie Taylor, he's got his new rising stars, and he just wants to keep her out of the way, so he's directing her in a particular direction, away from the really good fights. That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. So there you are. Chantelle Cameron, of course, is going to win, and I'll watch because I always watch Chantelle Cameron, and she's an entertaining fighter and a good fighter, so it'll be good that way. But it's, Chantelle Cameron on the undercard. Now that really doesn't sound right. Take care.